I've heard this happen with other cafes. They blow up where they get famous faster than they are capable to keep up. In a way, it sounds really good, right? Like everyone's going to you, but then a lot of people give bad reviews or a lot of people get angry because the quality was not as good as they promised. That has nothing to really do with their products and themselves. It's just that they're trying to keep up.
Hello, Clever Habits Tribe, and welcome back to Season 7. This episode is going to make you hungry. We're actually interviewing a Mexican baker living in Hungary. That is definitely a combination that you don't hear every day. So we have with us here the founder and chief baker at Tortuga Pohanka, Karen Avila. Karen, thank you so much for joining us today after a full day of baking and training a new baker even.
Yes, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So why did you decide from being like an IB baccalaureate teacher to open a business as a baker?
That was honestly always my dream to be a baker. For my sisters and I, at least, we were always told, go to university, get an education to have a good job. And if I ever said I wanted to be a baker, it was never allowed. Like, that's nice, ha ha ha. No, go to school. And I thought I'll, get my PhD and get a lot of money and open up my own bakery. I did do all my degrees. I didn't get a lot of money, but I was able to open up this bakery. I thought I would be like an old lady, retired. But thankfully, I got the opportunities. I knew I had to take it. I was working abroad for a while. I went to university in the States. My sister stayed in the States, and so I thought that's probably where I will end up as well. A friend of mine who's Hungarian, he said, okay, before you go to the States, come visit me and just have fun. And that's cool. See the world. And I thought I had traveled all through, the Americas, and I had only lived in France when I was a teenager. So I thought, yeah, I'd never been to any other part of Europe. And so I came to visit for 10 days. I loved it. I just love Hungary. It feels like a small town, even though it's a city. I was working as a teacher, and honestly, like when I say I had the opportunities, just I think I had the right people around me. I always baked teacher meetings. If it was university, when the new students would come in, I just always baked because I liked it. I started working at different bakeries in the summer for free just so I could learn. Even there, I was getting job offers. You should stay here. This is how much we pay you. Like, just stay. Even for the sourdough that I make, because I would make, Mexican sweet bread with sourdough. Some bakers here that were the original four, they were like, how do you make sweet bread with sourdough? It doesn't make sense. That's when I thought, like, maybe I do have something I can do here and something different. I always had the feeling that it was going to be big. I had the feeling I just had to be patient because I remember the first year we would be making 5,000 foreign, which is nothing a day. you know, on the days that we would make maybe 15,000, I would buy some breads myself just to like show on the receipts, like, yay, we did it. I would obviously bake everything and then I would step outside of the store, people passing by, just like, would you like sourdough bread? Would you like sourdough bread? As soon as that sample ended, then I would go inside, cut up a different bread, and just go back outside and give bread to people, like free samples. They would take it and keep on walking, and honestly would just stop and like come back and be like, what is this? Literally made people stop in their tracks and come back and buy a bunch of bread. When we first started, it was maybe, I think, 10 loaves total and like maybe two other sweetbreads. In the meantime, I was learning how to make the Hungarian stuff so that people would come in and at least grab what they knew. it always takes a while for people to try something new, that they've never heard of. But now it's like very traditional Hungarian. People will come in and ask like, "Do you have the bolillo?" And something very Mexican, very like and it's really nice that like now even if I say like, "Oh, we sold out, but we have this other thing that is kind of similar," be like, "Okay, fine, I'll get that." They trust us that we make good quality products. I grew up really poor, so it was very important to me to have a good value, a good price for really delicious, like healthy food. And I think that people appreciated that as well. It wasn't just like a lot of like artisan places where it's like, well, it's artisan, so the price is tripled now. They're not like spending half of their salary a month just on food.
Yeah, that goes with the name that you chose for the bakery too, the Tortuga-ish Pohanka. I really liked how you explained it in your other interviews. You have to add one thing to the Tortuga explanation though. For those of you who are listening and you don't speak Spanish or Hungarian, Tortuga means turtle. Karen, could you tell us why you chose Tortuga? And then I'll tell you what you need to add.
Turtles are very peaceful and they live a very long life. I always identified with that. And that's what I wanted for the bakery. I wanted it to be very peaceful, very loving, with a long life.
Yeah, and the thing I would add to that excellent description is you're meeting both of those requirements by realizing it will be slow and steady growth, which you can tell by your focus on the customers and the quality. You're definitely growing.
Patience was something that was very, very important. For example, in the very, very beginning, I didn't do a lot of advertising because, yes, if I were to do, interviews and publishing everywhere before I opened, I don't think I would have been ready for that. It would have been too many customers. It was only me and one small oven. I've heard this happen with other cafes. They blow up where they get famous faster than they are capable to keep up. In a way, it sounds really good, right? Like everyone's going to you, but then a lot of people give bad reviews or a lot of people get angry because the quality was not as good as they promised. That has nothing to really do with their products and themselves. It's just that they're trying to keep up. I'm very happy with the way that we have been growing, even though, like I said in the beginning, it was really slow. It gave me time to understand how much we can make.
How did you decide when you would go from just you and your little oven to hiring employees, who to hire and when? What was that process?
I know a lot when it comes to bread baking, but I'm always willing to learn. I need someone who's also going to be willing to learn. That was like the most important thing for me. When I hired my first baker, pretty much it was just me and him the whole day. He was a Hungarian guy and he told me like, "You know what? If we have time now that we are two and we can make this really old Hungarian bread that no one else makes anymore." He explained it to me, they described what it was, and I started working on like the dough and we started trying it. And as soon as he was like, "This is it, this is my childhood," we started selling it. Just last week, I made a pistachio tres leches, which is I've never heard of that one before, but someone was like, "Why don't we make it?" And I thought, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a try. It's cool because then people come in and there's traditional Mexican things, then there's traditional Hungarian things, and then there's like a mix of both. People really, really like that as well.
Yeah, in your interview in February 2022, Street Kitchen Hungary said that Tortuga-ish Pohanka is Hungarian artisanal bakery with some Mexican characteristics. So they've adopted you.
When I first opened, I was a teacher and in schools we just spoke English and I spoke nothing of Hungarian except for like hello, welcome. Now, right, when I'm able to speak a lot more thanks to the bakery. And even them, they're like, after a while of talking, they're like, wait a minute. "Are you Mexican?" I'm like, "Yes." "Can't you see?" They're like, "Oh, you speak so well." And they just take me as their own.
Being there since 2015 and you started the bakery in 2019, how did you make it through the pandemic?
It took us a while to realize that it hit. In Hungary, it was handled pretty well in the beginning, especially. It was handled very well. Bakeries were considered essential shops. If people did not feel comfortable coming inside, we can sell through the window. People just kept on coming. Our prices were still like really, really low at that time. We were just like willing to help, honestly. We were also sending bread to people who were unable to get out of their house. We would tell them, like, yeah, just send us a message, like, give us at least a 3-day notice, so we can like organize. It was just two of us. No one took advantage. It was good that like we could help out in that way. And so we started getting our name out. Like people would talk to each other. Honestly, that's how we've been growing for the most part, is just people telling each other, like, you need to try this place. Yes, I'm thankful for the interviews and I'm thankful for the people getting to know us online and everything. But I think most of our customers have been coming to us since that very, very first day or week that we opened. And they just keep on telling people. Sometimes people come in even now and they're like, oh, yeah, my neighbor told me about you and I've been meaning to come. And like, finally, I'm here.
I actually found you on TikTok because I have not had the pleasure of being in Budapest yet. But why did you decide, okay, we are a hometown hero now. We still need social. What do you use social for?
Most of our customers, obviously, they're excited to be there, which is really nice. They were telling me, like, you guys need to be bigger. You guys need to have like 3 or 5 different stores, be on the social medias. We had Instagram, we had Facebook, and I would post things. And then when I found TikTok, at first I thought like that's the young people thing. But I thought, I'll give it a try. Why not? It was very easy, I think, to handle, and I think that's why it's very popular. And I think if you look at the very beginning, very first videos, they're not that good. But we started getting people also coming in and saying like, "Oh, we saw you on TikTok and we wanted to try it." After a while, it became like kind of part of it. It was actually fun to make little videos. We could do like how we're making it or just pictures. And so it didn't take as much time away from the baking as I originally thought that it would. And it was fun. And I also tell my bakers now, like if you get a chance, just like send me little videos. They know that it's not like a priority. I don't post as often, I think, as I used to, but they still do. Like they'll send me videos and they'll be excited. Like my bakers are excited, like, yeah, my friends told me that they found me on TikTok because they're on the video. That's nice too. Like I want to make them happy as well, So it's a win-win. It was nice that, like, people would also kinda realize that, and they would come in and be like, "Did you take that video early in the morning? Cause I saw the window and it looked dark outside." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that was really early in the morning."
How do you make sourdough without yeast? I don't know how that process works.
Sourdough is pretty much just flour and water. You let it ferment in different stages. We refresh our sourdough twice every day. That takes away the sourness, and that's why we can make sweet bread. So when people eat it, it's not really sour. It's very fresh bacteria, the fermentation, right? If you buy like that fresh yeast that kind of looks like butter and then you bake with it, it just like eats, but it doesn't process the gluten or the sugars. It just makes bubbles pretty much. And that's why sometimes you eat bread just from the store that's yeast bread and it'll kind of like disappear in your mouth because it's mainly just that puff.
So that's what's going on. I'm like, this is puffy, but I'm still hungry.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I already ate 4 slices and I'm still hungry. I remember in the beginning, some people would be like, "Oh, the bread is heavy." And I'm like, "It's real bread." And yeah, like, obviously they keep on coming back for more, so
And you want to grow like Cotton's bread. You want sourdough, not yeast. You want to grow your tribe of customers. You don't necessarily want to go viral. That won't help you.
go viral once you are stable and you know that, like, you know what? We sold out, but we know that we sold out the most we can make and we are good.
Yeah, you didn't sell out like 30 minutes into your reopening or something. That sounds good, but in reality, that's not good. Yeah, should I have been calling you Dr. Avila this whole time?
Honestly, now people ask me what I do. I just say I'm a baker. I'm only a doctor if I'm, talking about comparative language and literature, then I'll be I'll be a little more formal and I'll be a doctor.
Well, at least we can call you chef. There's a famous baker in California. I can't remember her name right now, but I think you're going to be that lady in Budapest.
Yeah, hopefully. Yes. I was invited to be a judge at a cooking show here. I was very, like, "Oh, chef." I was like, "Oh, that's me." That's right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I really commend you for not giving up on your dream. You're growing from the ground up. So where can we follow your progress? I said you're on TikTok, but what's your handle? What other places can we follow you guys?
My handle is pretty much Tortuga underscore ish, another underscore Pohanka. So Tortuga ish Pohanka. And it's the same for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Honestly, if you just Google Mexican bakery in Budapest, you will pretty much find us. And of course, our website, which is just tortugapohanga.com. We post everything on every platform.
And I know a lot of people in the audience are wondering this, but do you deliver bread and how far?
No, unfortunately, we don't deliver bread. And I think by the time it gets to a different country, because the post office is not very reliable.
Well, this is your excuse to go visit Budapest, y'all.
Yes, please come. Everyone is welcome.
Well, thank you, Karen. I really appreciate your time. This is the end of a very long day for you, so I'm going to let you go to sleep soon.
Yes, thank you. I get a few hours and then I'm back at it.
And Clever Hybrids, thank you so much for staying with us until the end. But I hope that you all think about this. If you're wondering about starting something new, we've had a lot of people this season who are doing things as a side gig or starting their own businesses. And post-pandemic, there's a lot more ways to do that. There's no excuse to avoid giving it a shot. This is GabyV for Clever Hybrids, and we'll see you in the next one.